Okay, so what if I told you that pretty much the entire modern world, I'm talking everything digital, is built on a foundation created by just one company? A company so important that if it vanished tomorrow, our digital lives would just stop. And the crazy part, you've probably never even heard its name.
Just think about this number for a second. 90%. Over 90% of the world's most advanced computer chips, the tiny little brains inside basically everything we use, they're all made by this one company. And no, that's not an exaggeration. It's the, frankly, staggering reality of the world we live in right now.
And look, we're not talking about some obscure niche tech here. We are talking about the chip that's probably in your iPhone right now. The powerful chips that run AI like ChatGPT. The data centers that power the internet. Our 5G networks. Even, get this, the F-35 fighter jet. Yep, all of it. One company, TSMC, is the foundation for the whole shebang.
So that leads to a really terrifying question, doesn't it? What would actually happen if that single point of failure, failed? What if that one company just disappeared? The consequences, they'd be nothing short of catastrophic.
Okay, so how on earth did we get here? How did one company, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or as everyone calls them, TSMC, become so incredibly important? Well, it all goes back to a truly revolutionary business model. You see, its founder, a guy named Morris Chang, came up with this idea called the pure play foundry. Before TSMC, you had companies like Intel that did everything. They designed their chips and they built them. But Chang's idea was brilliant and honestly, pretty simple. He said, look, we're not going to design a single chip. We're just going to be the best factory for hire in the entire world. And that right there was a masterstroke. It totally opened the door for a new wave of fabless companies. Think Apple, Nvidia, to just focus on what they do best, designing incredible chips, knowing they had a world-class partner to actually build the thing.
And their rise? Absolutely meteoric. What started out as a project backed by the Taiwanese government back in the 80s, literally designed to make Taiwan essential to the world, has just exploded into a $1.5 trillion behemoth. It's completely blown past old-school giants like Intel.
Just look at the scale of this dominance. It's wild. TSMC controls almost 65% of the entire global market for making chips. Their closest competitor, Samsung, is way back in a distant second place. But honestly, that's not even the most insane part.
This is where it gets really mind-blowing. When you look at only the most advanced, leading-edge chips, we're talking the super powerful stuff that's smaller than 7 nanometers, the brains behind all the AI and supercomputers. Their market share just skyrockets to over 90%. It's basically a monopoly on the future. So the question is, how did they build such an untouchable lead?
Well, the answer lies in mastering a process that honestly sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. Making these chips is, without a doubt, one of the most complex and difficult manufacturing feats humanity has ever pulled off. Seriously.
It really all comes down to one incredible piece of technology: extreme ultraviolet lithography, or EUV for short. Think of these as the most advanced printing presses in human history, ones that print impossibly tiny circuits onto silicon wafers. And here's the absolute kicker. Only one company on the entire planet can make these machines, a firm called ASML all the way over in the Netherlands.
And the way these things work is it's insane. Okay, so imagine this. A super powerful laser hits a tiny molten droplet of tin. Not once, but 50,000 times a second. This creates a blast of plasma that's literally hotter than the surface of the sun, all just to create a very specific kind of light. That light is then guided by the most perfect, smoothest mirrors ever made by humankind, all inside a total vacuum, to etch these microscopic patterns onto the silicon. And you have to do that whole process perfectly, more than 20 times, just to make one advanced chip. It's just mind-boggling.
But look, just having the machine isn't enough. Mastering the physics is only half the fight. The real secret sauce, the magic, is something called the yield rate. Basically, that's just the percentage of good working chips you get from each silicon wafer. And this is where TSMC is in a league of its own. They get more than 9 out of 10 chips to work perfectly. Their main rival, Samsung, they're lucky if they get 5. And that huge gap, that's everything. It means TSMC's customers get their chips cheaper, they're more reliable, and they can innovate faster. That's why everyone, from Apple to Nvidia, lines up at TSMC's door.
But all of this incredible success has created an equally incredible risk.
You see, by concentrating the world's most vital resource on one small, geopolitically volatile island, we've created a really, really dangerous paradox.
And this is the great debate that keeps world leaders up at night. On one side, you have the silicon shield theory. The idea is that China would never invade Taiwan because it would destroy the supply of chips that its own economy desperately needs. It's a deterrent. But then, there's the other side, the silicon dagger theory, and it argues the complete opposite. That TSMC's importance is exactly why China would invade, because they want to control that resource for themselves.
And make no mistake, the stakes here could not be higher. A war over Taiwan is estimated to cost the global economy something like $10 trillion. To put that in perspective, that's a bigger economic hit than the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID pandemic combined. It's almost unthinkable.
And the risk isn't just military, not by a long shot. Geographically, TSMC's main factories are only about 130 kilometers from mainland China. Geologically, Taiwan sits right on the Pacific Ring of Fire, with dozens of active faults. And environmentally, these factories use millions of gallons of water every day. A massive drought back in 2021 came terrifyingly close to shutting the whole operation down.
So as you can imagine, this extreme fragility has set off what you could call a great global scramble. Countries all over the world are now racing against the clock to build their own chip factories, to de-risk and reduce this dangerous dependency on one single island.
The most visible response to this has been the U.S. CHIPS Act. It's this huge $280 billion piece of legislation designed to pour money into bringing semiconductor manufacturing back to America, basically incentivizing companies like TSMC to build new factories on U.S. soil. But here's the reality check. This is not a quick fix, not at all. TSMC's big project to build a factory in Arizona, well, it's been hit with delays, costs have ballooned, and there have been reports of major culture clashes. It's proving that you can't just copy and paste an entire high-tech ecosystem. This is a slow, incredibly expensive, decade-long marathon.
And it's going to cost more too. Just listen to what Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD, one of TSMC's biggest customers, had to say. She pointed out that chips from the new Arizona plant will be anywhere from 5 to 20% more expensive. But she also said we have to think about resiliency. It's like paying for an insurance policy. It's a premium the world is finally realizing it has to pay for a little more security.
So all of this brings us to the future, which is, to put it mildly, very much unwritten. The big question, the one everyone is grappling with, is this: can the world build a more resilient supply chain in time?
Now, these diversification efforts are definitely going to help. Projections show Taiwan's share of advanced chip making could drop from over 70% down to just under 60% by 2030. But let's be clear, that still means the world is going to be heavily reliant on them for many years to come.
Still, the push for alternatives is aggressive. Take the US goal, for example. It's incredibly ambitious. The plan is to go from making literally 0% of the world's most advanced chips today to producing 20% of them by 2030. That is a truly monumental task.
And so that leaves us with this one final, crucial question. Think about it. It took the combined expertise of hundreds of thousands of brilliant people, working together over 40 years to build Taiwan's dominance. Can a fire hose of government money and a bunch of new policies really replicate that deep, complex human expertise somewhere else? And, maybe the most important question of all, can they do it before it's too late?